I think in the case of pop stars like Avril Lavigne, and I know it's not anything that's set in stone or anything that's really this specific, but I feel like there is Avril Lavigne, almost like the character, and Avril Lavigne the person.
Oh
And
yeah, I guarantee that's the
depending
case with
on
all of them.
yeah, depending on like who is interviewing, you might get one, you might get one, you might get the other, or you might get an amalgamation of the two.
What's good, Humbl fam? How about y'all come on in and let's have us another visit here on the Humbl Show. I am Grant Fletcher, and joining me are my co-hosts, Moonbeam Hallows and Brandon Cox. There they are. Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Well, hi.
What's good, everyone?
oh,
So-
just cooling.
Brandon, the fireworks, that's a projection on you, right? That's a, if you're watching us on either YouTube or TikTok, that's it.
Yeah, it absolutely. It's
Okay.
just floating through space here in this podcast.
All right, good. I spent like the last 2 or 3 episodes being like, something is wrong with Zoom, right? Like there's some effect on you. And I realized just now that like, oh wait, no, that's actually a projection in your place. That's the mood lighting that Brandon's gone with. I like it.
Yeah. It's the mood lighting upon the mood lighting.
Yeah. Well, I have this orange thing on one side and I have this blue and green thing on the other side on me. So I get it. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Y'all were talking. Moving had to point out earlier. This is if you're watching us visually, this is my first ever sleeveless episode of the Humbl Show. And now I just want to point out, Brandon is sleeveless. Brandon has been sleeveless plenty of times on the show here before, and now Moonbeam has joined the party. It is an all sleeveless affair here on the Humbl Show. In fact, I don't have you properly framed up here. I gotta like move you better into the frame so we
Don't
can
get too much of
see
these
you.
arms. I don't want to run anybody off.
Well, no. I mean, you're too far. I had you too far over to the left here. I got to push you back towards the center so we can actually, check out the gun.
No
You know what I'm saying?
sleeves.
Like we got to.
I'm usually too far to the right.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there.
Back
We
LOL.
will figure out how to get you lined up eventually. Maybe in another year. Maybe in another year we'll figure it out. But it could be in the cards for 2024. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Not me. Not me.
It don't matter.
How are we, everybody?
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good, but I'll tell you, as they say here in the South.
Yeah.
If y'all know anything about that, I had myself a little bit of a almost shit hemorrhage because I started smelling smoke in here. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like going around this whole place, just like sniffing. I was sniffing I'm at the grindhouse. I was sniffing the espresso machine. I was sniffing, I went into the bathrooms and turned on the exhaust fans, trying to do I smell smoke? I went to the air conditioner, no smoke. We have a fan to, keep air moving. And I went to turn it off, and when I did, I turned it on the heater, which I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I had turned the heater on, and it was burning off that
that whatever buildup
heater smell.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, for a brief moment, I thought that I was burning this mother down.
Yeah. Thought you were having a stroke.
Well, if you're gonna do it right. If you're gonna go out in the blaze of glory. That's what I say. Why would you do it any differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary town.
Scary town. I had this thought just a little bit ago, because a while back, our friend Joe Justice said that one of the reasons why he listens to this show is for the movie and music recommendations as well. So I kind of thought that maybe we could do real quick, as a quick segment every week off the top, we could do a quick song recommendation for the Humbl fam out there.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Give me one second. I've been Let's take a look here.
I'll start with one real quick while you're looking at that one. Just one I was talking about last night, and I had to listen to it because I was, it was good. It's a song called "Purge the Poison" by Marina. It's a pretty good track. Just kind of good driving beat. It's interesting. It's an interesting song. "Purge the Poison" by Marina. Good one. Yeah.
So mine would be, and I almost feel embarrassed because, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the more I age, the more I listen to all of the youthful head ass music that I was just like back in whenever I was a teenager in my 20s, I was too cool for.
Yeah, of course.
And now I'm listening to like a lot of like pop punk and emo. And one band I've been listening to lately is called Game Face.
Okay.
They're a really good band, and the song is "What I Learned in School."
All right.
It's a very I don't know, just like a very like headstrong, like, yeah, it's 10 years later. I'm seeing people that I saw from high school. And you know what? I don't have to be like you no more. There's a line that ends that song that's very poignant. I think it's sometimes friends forever don't last all summer.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's a
Can
good one,
relate
man.
at some point in time in your life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moonbeam, did you have any thoughts, or do you want to stew on it for a minute?
Yeah, man. I've been listening to a lot of the same old, the same old stuff.
That's okay.
But
Do you? Oh, hold on.
but
Yeah, I know you're okay. You listen to the same old stuff. So, like, what's a comfort song for you?
a comfort song.
Yeah.
Mm, Let me pull up Moonbeam's playlist.
Okay.
The first song on it is "Holiday in Cambodia"
Hey,
by
all
the
right.
Big Kitties.
Okay.
Yeah. "Country Death Song" by Violet Femmes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good one. Anything like off of the "My Name Is Mud" album by Primus.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Pork Soda, not "My Name Is Mud." Pork Soda. What am I talking about? Um, hmm. Yeah, man. I guess those are comfort songs.
We built you a good short little,
Yeah.
trip to
Elliott
work
Smith.
playlist. Elliott Smith, always good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh,
not
yeah.
not always good. You got to be in the right, frame of mind for it.
Yeah, I'm
But
generally
yeah.
in the right mood for it.
Yeah.
That Moby album "Play," I really
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
listen to that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, man,
I
I'm
like it.
all over the place.
No, I like it. All those are solid. Very
Yeah,
solid.
yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That segment was
There you
just
go.
for Joe Justice and Joe Justice alone. But if anyone
Yeah,
else,
Justice for
anyone else in
Joe.
the Humble fam wants to pick up on that, feel free to
Yeah.
build yourself out a little playlist based on what we just
Oh
said.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what else? You know what else I introduced Lola May to?
What's
Not
that?
too long ago. I don't think she had ever heard it, but Shakespeare's sister. Uh, that song. I was explaining. There was a song. I think it was called "Stay." Pretty sure it's called "Stay," but it was
Is
by
that
a
the
band
Baby
called
Why Don't You Stay
Shakespeare's
song?
sister.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, and that I think they played it on the radio, and I think that was the song that I heard that I was like, you know what? I really like that. I really like that whole vibe. I think I'm gonna be goth like that. And I
Yeah.
honestly I think that because I mean it's like I was probably in like fifth grade and I was just like, you know what? I think that's it right there for me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
that
this
was
is
the
it. This
song.
is the last song. They may
And
as
that
well
had
not write
radio
anymore.
play. I mean, played here on Q101.
Yeah, there we go. Down with it. Very
Anyway.
cool. Very cool.
Whatever.
I like it. Very cool. I'd like to continue that. I think that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
But no,
Why?
we had an idea for this whole like episode where we're gonna have a friend on, and I think he has some prior engagements that are gonna keep him tied up for a little while, so he won't quite be able to make it onto this show for a while. But then I came across something interesting, and I wanted to go ahead and like talk about that this week because I thought it was a lot of fun. I wanted to kind of like talk about it and also just like pick it apart a little bit too. And that is conspiracy theories that are specifically about celebrities, right? And more like the kind where it's like someone's been replaced by someone else or someone is not who they say they are kind of thing. And of course, like the prominent example, the most famous example, the first one I can think of is the Paul is dead conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
That Paul McCartney of the Beatles was actually dead.
Mm-hmm.
There were rumors that his health was deteriorating, like pretty early in the Beatles' career, and people thought that he died somewhere around like the mid '60s, and that he was replaced by a lookalike, and that was the big one. And that there are all these like clues, like, oh well, on the Abbey Road cover, he's the only one not wearing shoes. Like that means that he's not.
He's a dead man.
He's dead because dead men don't wear shoes. Like they don't put you in a casket with shoes. And I think also too, like, is it Abbey Road or is there one where like he's got like an unlit cigarette in his mouth as well? In some point in time, I think it's something like that. No, I think he's holding an unlit cigarette.
Their catalog's way too big for me to know.
Which I think is and that he's like holding an unlit cigarette, which is typically referred to as like if you have like an unlit cigarette in your mouth, like a term people would use is like a nail in your coffin kind of thing. Or a phrase they would use, at least, an old timey or kind of phrase. So that was sort of like, oh, they're leaving clues. But I'm thinking if that were the case, if they were really gonna just replace him and try to make it seem like you didn't, trying to not let you notice, why would they leave you hints that he was not alive?
Right. Because like even if like the other three members wanted to like get it out there, what about you got to think about old replacement Paul. Like how's he gonna feel about all this? That's an awkward situation. The guys putting in back masks messages in their music, and he's just like, hey guys, what's up? And suddenly the record scratches, like, oh, hey, replacement Paul, what's what's happening, man?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Just being replacement Paul. Just replacing.
Like if you played the walrus backwards, it said Paul is dead or something like that. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's such a. I know that they were big whenever they claimed that Paul had died, but like there had been other members of the Beatles that had come and gone.
True.
Like
true enough.
It's Pete Best.
Yeah.
Like Pete Best, which I love. That he released an album called "The Best of the Beatles."
Isn't that great?
And like you can't
say it's not true.
yeah. But then like you had like another bassist, and like you had like an intermittent drummer between Best and Ringo, and then you had Billy Preston. You had other like. I feel like even if Paul had unfortunately passed, he could have been replaced and they could have kept on trucking. It's such a ludicrous, like, especially like after the band broke up. It's why keep up the roots?
Why would you keep being Paul McCartney? It's been almost 60 years now.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone really believed, like, I don't know if there's like a movement around that anymore, but people believed it for quite a while. It's true. And honestly, if you think about it, it might have even been a thing a rumor that was started by the Beatles themselves or by the record company.
Yeah.
That was the kind of weird that was like quote unquote viral marketing back then, right? If everyone's talking about the Beatles, they're looking for whatever the next thing is they're going to do, and they're going to buy the album and look for the clues, right?
Yeah.
So that would make sense to me. That's my conspiracy theory is that the record company started the conspiracy theory. How about that?
It's so funny because my one that I have chosen coming up kind of has a lot to do with some of this, but
okay. Well, I want to know what is it then? Let's just go ahead and jump to it.
Well, I have a few that I want to put before that.
Okay.
Should I go ahead and do those?
Tell you what, I've got a couple that I want to rapid fire off here real quick, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So since we're on them here, the next one I want to do is the big one is the Avril Lavigne one.
Yeah.
and y'all have probably heard this one. You know, Avril Lavigne. They think people think Avril Lavigne was replaced. That she died and she's replaced by a lookalike named Melissa. Where they landed on the name Melissa, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I will say that a lot of people have looked for like clues in her interviews, and they're like, well, she gave a conflicting answer to this over here, and like that was a problem or whatever. My response to that is, and this is a harsh truth, everybody, as someone who interviews celebrities from time to time, sometimes celebrities will give you the answer that they think is the most entertaining answer in an interview.
Yeah,
Because an interview is entertainment after all. So sometimes they will just go with what they think fits the need. I think that that's more common kind of at a higher level of celebrity. Like when you are like an Avril Lavigne or somebody like that, like you tend to do it more often because you do more interviews for one. And for two, like you're in a lot of just different types of forums as well. So it's the truth. I mean, and I don't really think of it as lying because like, I mean, did Michael Keaton lie when he said I'm Batman? I mean, he's not really Batman, but he was acting, right?
Yeah,
he was entertaining. So
I think
that's
in
my
the
take
case,
on that.
I think in the case of pop stars like Avril Lavigne, and I know it's not anything that's set in stone or anything that's really this specific, but I feel like there is Avril Lavigne almost like the character and Avril Lavigne the person.
Oh yeah, I guarantee that's the case
on
with all of them.
Yeah, depending on like who is interviewing, you might get one, you might get one, you might get the other, or you might get an amalgamation of the two.
Yeah, I agree. Tell you what, I have one more, but I'm going to save my last one till the end.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to go, Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon, why don't you take it away?
So, the first one that I'm going to have, and it's not necessarily one person being replaced by another, but it's one person's reality conflicting with actual reality, and that is Paula Abdul.
Okay.
So for anybody, I'm sure most of our listeners are familiar with Paula Abdul, whether they remember her from her initial run as a pop superstar, or from like American Idol or something.
Yeah.
But for those paying attention, her career kind of came to a stall in '95.
Sure.
And it wasn't really elaborated upon at the time. Like, it was just kind of like she very quickly petered out, almost unnaturally. And then she kind of reappeared as a judge in American Idol, which is great. She was around, she was alive.
Yeah.
The explanation that she gave: she was in a plane crash. She was in an emergency landing situation where she like landed in the mountains, this plane that she was on, and it injured her to a great degree, and she was out of commission for many years, or so she says.
I thought she was doing like dance classes that whole time.
No, she was addicted to drugs.
Ah.
Okay.
That's the common explanation. So I don't know if you two know this, but if a plane crashes, the world knows about it.
Sure.
There are reports made. There are wreckages that are taken from. People know it's a plane crash is a big deal, especially if a humongous superstar is in that plane that crashes.
Yes.
There is no record of a plane crash happening, especially one with Paula Abdul. It's heavily speculated because, I mean, and you can see it, especially like shortly after she joined American Idol, but even like back in the day, it was heavily speculated that due to an injury, she became addicted to prescription medication. And here's the thing: I completely understand someone who wants to, distance themselves from such an image. But here's the thing: think of a better lie.
Yeah, that's true.
Start, be like, my great grandpapa was very ill and he had the
Yeah.
scarlet rubella, and I had to take care of him. Something less dramatic than a plane crash. So that's number 3. Number 2,
Real quick, I just
and
want
I'm
to say as well, the whole like drug thing reminds me of another one real fast.
yeah.
That Michael Jordan's flu game, he didn't have the flu. There were people that think that he was actually just going through withdrawals. So, anyway, yeah, that just brought another one to mind. But yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
So, and I've also heard that like his father did not die due to however he died, but like he was executed due to his son's gambling addictions.
Either
Might
way,
want to cut that one.
he was well. I mean, either way, he was murdered. I mean, geez, like leave the guy alone. You know? So anyway,
So my number 2, which is I'm not even going to really elaborate on it too much, but much like Avril Lavigne, Andrew WK has been accused of basically being replaced by another Andrew WK, which I feel like it's an instance of the truth being stranger than fiction. Because number one, Andrew WK is a character to a certain degree.
yes,
It was the character of Andrew WK was developed by 2 people, and the guy who played the character and another guy. And for years, you probably noticed that there were no Andrew WK albums. So that was because he was tied up in courts because the guy who helped co-develop the character had some grievances. I don't know too much about it, but eventually that was settled and he's making music again. Great. But what's even weirder than someone replacing Andrew WK is who Andrew WK actually is. Because behind the major label, like hard rockin' power pop party anthems, is a man who prior to that was heavily into like death grind and harsh noise. He has projects like grindcore projects prior to then. He was in a famous like noise and improv act. I think it's called to live or shave in LA or something like that. You had a lot of like high profile, like Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth was in the act, and um he's a very very weird eclectic character. He really is. A friend of the show,
Makes
Must
sense.
Die, has played with him like early on in
cool.
his
Yeah,
career. And he was just a really swell guy from what I've been told. But yeah, look up Andrew WK. In addition, he has played with the act Current 93, which is a very strange, eerie neo folk, industrial tinge neo folk act. He's a very eclectic person for a guy who, in the late 2000s, early 2010s, was a staple on Cartoon Network.
right,
Is
yeah.
he married to the Two Broke Girls girl?
I know that he remarried last year. I don't know who he remarried,
Which
but
one, Kat Dennings or
Yeah, Kat
yeah,
Dennings.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He remarried Kat, or he remarried and he married Kat Dennings
Huh,
a
did
year
not know
Good for
that.
ago.
him, man.
So
Yeah,
that's my number. That's my number 2.
I've heard him say in interviews, no, Andrew WK is a character, and I'm not even the first person to be that character. And then eventually someone else will be the character. So yeah, yeah.
I
But
think that's
yet a
kind
third.
of. I think that was him playing into the rumors, honestly.
Oh, gotcha. I see.
So my number 1, along those same lines, is Klaatu. This little band right here. Have
Okay.
you two ever heard of Klaatu?
I mean,
I
I
feel
feel
like
like that sounds
like I
like
have.
the incantation from Evil Dead.
Yeah, from
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Army of Darkness.
So
That's
I was like,
exactly where
I
I've
know
heard
I've
it
heard
from.
Klaatu. I don't know if I've heard it in the context of a band though. Yeah.
In
That's
addition,
what I've,
I think that they named the band after a character from the Day the Earth Stood Still. I think
Okay.
if I remember correctly. So that album that I just showed you came out in '78. its sound is kind of like a pastiche of late 60s, early 70s music. You have kind of like um I don't know, sunshiny baroque pop moments. You have like moments of psychedelia. It's but it's all kind of anchored by this late 70s pop rock production. So the thing about Klaatu is that whenever this album was released, and I think 2 or 3 subsequent albums, there are no credits. There's nobody like credited to the songs other than the band. The band is credited to the songs. There are no band photographs.
Well, when you say the band's credited to the songs, like as in like the band is credited as a band, or the individuals in the band?
So no, not the individuals in the
Okay.
band. So
Yeah.
like you take a look at the song lyrics or in like the liner notes, and like it's funny. The album came out in like '78, but like it'll credit the year that the song was written and the name of the band, Klaatu. So it'll be like
Huh.
'76 Klaatu. Um. So yeah, no band members credited. No band photographs in the album or in any promotional materials. So due to the sound and due to the anonymity of the project, one um music critic came out and said it. He's like, okay, this is the Beatles. They've secretly come back together and they have recorded an album.
Mm-hmm.
And so the album was released. I think I said '78. So like by like a few months afterwards, like the album had kind of petered out, didn't really sell just incredibly well. But then that rumor got out, that very widespread rumor, and that album became a moderate hit to the point to where the first track of the album was actually covered by the Carpenters, and was kind of a hit for them as well. Uh,
What song?
I, huh?
What Carpenter song?
Let's see. Um, calling occupants of interplanetary craft.
Man, I don't even
Yep,
know
I agree
that
with that.
song.
Yeah. Carpenter's version.
See, it's
The
funny because
B-side to
they
that by the Carpenters was "Can't Smile Without You." So anyway,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Ah,
that song was it was a weird moment for the Carpenters. Like they kind of did it in like the space rock stylings of this, but
Mm-hmm.
in any case,
with the beast and the children type of way.
what?
They have that song "Bless the Beast and the Children," which is kind of like, I don't know. It's
Doesn't quite fit with the rest of the catalog.
yeah, just
Yeah.
kind of cheesy and yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So, as you're probably thinking to yourself, Klaatu, not the Beatles. It was a trio of fellows from Canada, but let me tell you, they did not dispute that that accusation, and neither did the record company Capitol.
Huh.
Capitol was, of course, the company that distributed the Beatles records in the U.S. So they intentionally gave vague answers to the press whenever they were asked, "Hey, are these the Beatles?" Like basically, like, "Oh, we can neither confirm nor deny that these are the Beatles."
Huh.
So
Yeah.
once again,
Clever.
uh, the album sold very respectively after that rumor came out. But then people, of course, like it was some other uh uh music critic who like looked at the copyright information and like found out like, oh yeah, these are just like 3 guys from Canada. And as a result, well, I mean, first off, I've talked a lot about this. Let me tell you, this music does not sound like the Beatles. Like I said, it was a very nice, like late '70s pastiche of late '60s, early '70s music, but it does not like vocally, songwriting wise. I'm sure that even 8 years after the Beatles broke up, people were like looking for like scraps, like, okay, the Beatles are coming back, right? The Beatles are coming back, right? And they kind of latched onto this, but yeah, they don't sound like the Beatles. And as a result, for better or for worse, Klaatu doesn't receive very many favorable contemporary reviews, because the main reason why people check them out is because, like, oh, people thought these guys are the Beatles
Yeah.
for a while, and people go back and listen to it and they're like, they don't sound like the Beatles.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I like how he did whoever it was that figured it out did like the legwork of finding out who copyrighted the song, or the
Yeah, yeah.
songs. It's kind of like how Stephen King, Richard Bachman got found out.
Oh, yeah, because he wrote those 3 novels
Yeah,
under
as Richard
the
Bachman,
pseudonym.
and some clerk, like a book clerk in D.C., was like, this guy kind of writes a lot like Stephen King, and for whatever reason, he like went to the Library of Congress and looked it up, and
Yeah.
found that they were copyrighted by Stephen King, and he was like, huh, okay.
I think that's what happened in
And
this.
so, and like he called the publishing company and was like, what do I do with this information? And then they were like, oh, just hold tight. And then Stephen King called him. He was like, yeah, you figured it out. So, pretty cool.
Win the grand prize.
Yeah, we're
So
the grand
that's-
prize of getting a phone call from Stephen King, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I
I'd
think.
take it.
Yeah.
So that was my 3, but I have one more short little one-off.
Okay.
So I was 18 years old on my last, thank God, youth trip, and it was a very miserable trip. It was at Panama Beach, and I had a miserable time. So that it was not good. But one of the youth leaders there, like, I had been listening, like, just to kind of like block myself out of like the bad time I was having. I was listening to like a lot of like the weirdo experimental metal that I was listening to at the time, and I didn't really want to talk to anybody to anybody about anything other than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, one of the youth leaders like tried to relate to me. It's like, oh yeah, I see you're listening to that music. Did you know that the band Boston was basically one guy and a bunch of robots? That caught my attention. And so he explained it to me. And instantly I knew that he was probably full of it.
Okay. Yeah.
He explained to me that like it was one guy, and like he didn't really have a full band, so he had a bunch of robots play the other parts. That was his explanation, basically. And like after about a week or so, like I got back to civilization. I looked up on Wikipedia. I realized that he did not understand the concept of like studio recordings, where like, I mean, like for all intents and purposes,
Drum machine.
I mean, like, which there wasn't a drum machine, but like he didn't understand that like you can go and record a rhythm guitar part and like record over that with a keyboard part and record over that with harmony vocals and lead vocals.
You can layer this. There are
Yes.
multiple tracks which you can layer. Yes.
He was thinking, I don't know if you two are familiar with Hassel Atkins, but he was a rockabilly artist that whenever he heard Elvis Presley's singles back in the late 50s, early 60s, he saw that it was attributed to Elvis Presley. So he thought that it was Elvis Presley doing all that at once.
I see.
He was playing the drums and he was playing guitar and everything all at once. And so that's actually what Hassel Atkins did at first. He was a rockabilly artist that played drums and guitar and vocals all at once. It was amazing. But I think that this was this guy's explanation for studio recordings, like multi-track studio recordings. Like, oh, it's one guy and a bunch of robots.
I just want to point something out. Boston was last on tour just in 2017. So I guess the robots toured with the one guy all the way through 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Boston.
You know, Mr. Boston.
Yeah, Bob Boston.
You know, it was amazing how he built and programmed all those robots to play all that music all together.
In the year,
you ever seen the
77?
Green Machine? It's like a bunch of little frogs, and when you play music, it looks like they're playing their instruments and dancing.
Yeah.
It was basically that. Yeah, basically that. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's good. That's pretty good. I like that a lot.
Moonbeam, what you got?
Oh well, here's the thing.
Okay.
So Brandon came by today, uh, which is one of the things about having opened the grindhouse is like it really has been a dream because like I get to see like people and I get to serve people and make coffee and drinks all day. It's amazing. I get to see Brandon Cox just about every day, and that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Lucky.
So Brandon came by. It was basically like I don't remember how you worded it, but and basically, did you do your homework?
I mean, I
Because
just brought this up today, so.
and I was like, you know what I mean? Because I was like, I haven't really looked at my phone today, and he told me what it was, and I was like, oh man. So I was thinking about it, from the time you left until now, and I don't have a whole lot, and I'll tell you guys that I, really the only thing I can think of, I mean, there's a few, but that kid Brian Warner from the Wonder Years that took out his ribs to S's on D.
Yeah.
That conspiracy theory.
Well,
Yeah.
and I want
And
to
it
say it went even
also,
further because it wasn't just that he took out his ribs; it was that he was actually Marilyn Manson.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that he had grown
Yeah.
up to
So
become Marilyn Manson, and Marilyn Manson had done that. Yeah,
right. Yeah, that kid Brian Warner from the Wonder Years.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that like it was that one.
I like that
Um,
one.
The
That's a good one.
way
I had
yeah.
that
forgotten about.
is the way that that's phrased, the kid from the Wonder Years got his rip. Like just him at the age of 13, he's really frustrated and struggling, and he's just like, there's only one solution.
Let's get rid of these ribs.
If
Let's
you
get
want
rid
to
of
do
these
something
ribs.
right, got to do it yourself. Got to do it
Yeah.
yourself.
That
That is a
poor
good one.
guy, man. I wonder if the real kid from the Wonder Years, I wonder how he feels about the rumor that he, took out his ribs.
I
And
bet
most
that I
of
bet
these are
that's how
like,
he's
dude,
booked. I bet
like
that's how he's booking con appearances.
I
yeah,
bet
true.
he
The
is.
internet has allowed the spread of a lot of crazy conspiracy theories, but like
Yeah.
the absence of the internet allowed it too, right? Like
Oh,
before
it,
people
Yeah,
could
it,
look things up
yeah.
and verify, wait, that guy has a different name and he has a whole different life that he's still living. He can't be Marilyn Manson. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Exactly. Well,
Well,
there was that, and then I remember one that's like Katy Perry is Jean-Benet
that was
Ramsey.
my last one that I was gonna do. That's
Oh,
awesome.
really?
Yes, that's great.
Yeah. That was yeah.
So yeah. The conspiracy
That one
is
was
that
Wait, hold on,
Katy
is that the
Perry,
Night Stalker?
Katy Perry
Jean-Benet
is
Ramsey.
John Benet Ramsey grown up. That's the
Like the
What
Night
is
Stalker?
the no that
no,
you're no
the
you're
little
thinking
the
of
pageant girl
Richard
that was
Ramirez.
yeah. No, John Benet
Oh,
Ramsey was a pageant girl that was found unalived in her
Uh,
house,
yeah.
and they never found out who did it. And a lot of people think it was her
oh.
parents.
Look,
She was
here's
on
the
the
thing.
cover of every
It's those.
magazine and newspaper for years.
Yeah,
Whenever I hear those perfect three names, I'm like, oh yeah, serial killer. Yeah, because like every
Yeah.
serial killer has those
John Wayne
perfect.
Gacy.
oh yeah. You have to have three. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
funny. No, yeah.
Yeah.
So was the last one I was going to go with. Katy Perry. That people think Katy Perry is John Benet Ramsey, and it's like one of the things whenever they do this, where they connect like people to one another, like they think that one person is actually this other person, is they'll be like, look at these similar features, but they'll just like circle like a part of the person's face, and that's it, and you can't
Right.
really like. It's just circles on a face on a flat photograph, on a two-dimensional photograph. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny because one of the things that they cite is like, look, her eyebrows are similar. And it's like, okay,
Right.
I don't know if you know this or not. This is how you can tell that a man came up with this conspiracy theory. Because women, adult women, especially ones in the media and the public eye, tend to groom their eyebrows in some kind of way. Plucking, there are multiple ways in which you can do that.
Yeah.
So it's possible she just had a similar, like, why would she purposefully shape them to the way she was when she was a child if she's trying to cover up the fact that she's not who she says she is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the weirdest one. That was the weirdest one I think I came across in doing the
Yeah.
little bit of prep I did for this episode today.
So this isn't even really going with our theme, but I have one more little like music trivia tidbit that I came across today that kind of stopped me in my tracks.
Okay.
Do you two know the band Christian Death?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're on my Moonbeams playlist.
Yeah, you
Okay.
know how like they're not worth listening to after like 88 or 89, but they kept going.
Well, a lot of bands
Well,
did
I
that,
don't
but
know
yeah.
if I know they dropped the N word in one of their songs that was playing the other day, and it was on, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot that was in there.
Yeah.
Man, some bands thought that was real
That's a
cool.
bummer.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is an
yeah.
album that I don't know the name of the album, but it was either released in the late 2000s or the early 2010s. There the final song off that album has a songwriting credit going towards Alex Jones.
I mean, that's a
Hmm.
common name.
No, like
Is it?
But
the Alex Jones.
I mean, how do you know it's the Alex Jones?
Because like this website that I use, rateyourmusic.com,
Uh-huh.
has an entry for the Alex Jones.
Huh.
And let me tell you, I think if you saw this album cover and you saw that he was credited on a song on this album, be like, oh yeah, that checks out.
Alex Jones,
I'll have to look that up.
what was it? The school shooting denier. What was that?
Yep.
Yeah, the whole
The
Sandy Hook thing.
splatter
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, I got sued
Yeah.
into oblivion for that.
He sure did. I think he's going to be. I think his children's children will be working on that debt.
I don't know.
I
I
don't know
think
how
he's
that
got
works.
money. I think he's got money.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a funny one right there, and it made me think of something, and I totally forgot what it was. So maybe I'll come back around to whatever it was that I was going to say. But
Yeah.
I guess. I was going to say I made this joke last night at my trivia night, but you were talking about like not being worth listening to after a while.
Yeah.
And I like to say that my favorite Dragon Force song
Yeah.
is the one that went on for 3 albums.
From what I understand, like after the lead singer got either left or got kicked out, they actually got a lot more listenable.
Typically, Typically, also when a lead singer leaves a band, the story will vary between who the audience is about whether or not they left or got kicked out.
Yeah.
And it's specifically lead singers. They'll say, "No, I quit," and they'll say, "No, we fired you."
Yeah.
But it just depends. We could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
On lead singers who claim that they weren't fired.
I think I said
but everyone else they were.
last episode that I need the cheese whenever I was referring to like RoboCop
Yeah.
and things of that nature. Musical cheese is difficult for me to cut through, and power metal, that is a genre that's I can't really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I have to be in the mood for it.
speaking of music, I've got a quick trivia round for us here to play, I think. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna
here we
try
go.
something here. I'm going to try something here. I don't even know if it's going to work, how well it's going to work or whatever. But it went over okay last night. I tried this last night at my trivia game. And basically what I did is this song is called English, Do You Speak It? I left the expletive out because
Yeah.
it's a family show. And, well, somebody's family, the Humbl3 Fam. Anyway, the idea is I have got, and this is called the It's Hot Out There edition because it's hot out there. I took some songs, took some of the lyrics from those songs. In most of these cases, it's the chorus. And I translated them from English to Spanish to Japanese to Dutch and then back into English.
Yeah.
And so the idea is, let's see if you can tell me the name of this song based on these lyrics that have been filtered a few times. Some of them are pretty close.
Yeah.
But regardless, even if we know whatever it is, they just sound funny to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, first one to call out the name of the song, we'll get a point here. The first one is "'Cause Baby You're a Firecracker, Show 'Em Your Worth."
Firework by Katy Perry.
Yes, that is Firework. Speaking of Katy Perry,
That is one song that like
shooting through the air is the last line there. Anyway,
the performer is very like ambiguous. Like I feel like that could have been like any female electropop
Oh, yeah.
artist in the early 2000s.
Well, I mean, you got to think that about that era too. I mean, there was a lot of just mass producing of songs, and they were just kind of getting shuffled around from artist to artist.
Yeah.
And there were really only like 2 guys that were like writing most of that music.
Yeah.
So, at the time,
In like Sweden or something.
Right? Yeah, I think so. I think they were European guys. All right, let's do another one. Watch it, and you will find out. I have a fever of 103 degrees. Come on, baby. What else do you do besides dancing?
Oh, Hot-Blooded.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Hot-Blooded by Foreigner. 1-1 here. I like this one. This is my favorite one. Be careful. You may not get what you are looking for. It's cool, honey. Weird, but not weird. I'm a normal boy. Burn down the house.
Is that Talking Heads?
It is. What's the name of the song?
Oh, Burning Down the House?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just love that.
That one's that one's real goofy.
That was real goofy. Weird but not weird. I'm a normal boy.
That kind of describes I forget the name of the guy from Talking Heads, but
yeah, I guess so. I'm an ordinary guy. Turns out I'm a normal boy. Anyway,
that describes him very well.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like his get-ups during that era looked like they were translated from like English to Japanese to Dutch to whatever back to English.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Somebody
once
sumo suit.
A friend of mine was talking about that song "Major Tom" by Peter Schilling,
David Bowie, yeah,
and and he was like, "Man, that song is so goofy." And I was like, "Well, it was originally in German. I bet like if you spoke German, the German one would sound better." And he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know that it was like not originally in English." And he wouldn't like listen to it in German. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, this just sounds better. Like,
yeah,
it just sounds better than listening to the cheesy English lyrics."
Nothing really translates well into English.
No, probably not. I mean, that's probably the case for a lot of things, but a lot of languages. But anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. Hi hi, now sleep in the fire. Yo 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 yo, now sleep in the fire.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea.
That is one that was almost pretty spot on. It's "Sleep Now in the Fire" by Rage Against the Machine.
I remember like I was listening to like back in college, like I was listening to their self-titled pretty often, but it got to the point to where there was one guy in my car that always wanted to listen to that album. And like it was on a burn CD, and I just ended up throwing it out of my car while we were moving.
Rock Neighbor?
Huh?
Was that Butt Rock Neighbor?
No, but it's funny. Lee texted me when this started, and all he texted me was Butt Rock Neighbor.
Lee must die, to be specific here.
Listen, man, look, Brandon would always come home and be like, "Yeah, my Butt Rock Neighbor," and
I have so many stories.
I don't know if he had a real name. I've never heard his name. It was always Butt Rock Neighbor.
Yeah.
God, man, before let me do one last one here before I do this. We wrap this thing up, but Brandon has already won the game, but I'm just going to do one fun one at the end here. It's hot here, very hot. So take off all your clothes.
That's Nelly.
Oh, yeah, Nelly.
It's getting real hot. I want to take off my clothes. Hot in her. My Nelly.
I knew that was going to be one.
No, but there's a really nice concert venue not far from where I live here in Baton Rouge called Chelsea's Live.
Yeah.
And they will do like they have like bands will come through. Some notable acts will come through. I saw Me Without You there on their last tour and things like that. And but sometimes like they've got to be open more than just a few nights a week. They'll do like specific nights. So like once a month, a friend of mine will do emo night. Where they have a DJ play songs, and they also have a band play songs as well. Of course, they'll do 90s night. They've done Beyonce night, Taylor Swift night, that kind of thing. But I'm wondering, like, could you do Butt Rock Night and
There are
market it
actu-
as Butt Rock Night?
I want to say that I've actually seen that happen before.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna do butt rock night up here at the Grizzle Hills.
I think you should.
I'm not going to be there.
Yeah, you are.
No.
Yeah, you are. You're gonna host that.
cycle through just like guilty pleasure music nights. You know what I mean?
Butt rock night hosted by Brandon Cax.
No, it's going to be a shame that the DJ's not going to be there.
Yeah, whatever.
DJ Dude Man, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. No, I have another idea too for a DJ project with a friend of mine. We call it Zamboni, and we only play jock jams. And we open every set with Sandstorm by Darude.
Good.
The extended version.
Good.
Yeah. You wear hockey jerseys and you throw personal pan pizzas out there. You get one of those remote control blimps. You know, it's called Zamboni. That's it. I think it's self-explanatory. Yeah.
Do it.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything. Did y'all have anything else you wanted to say before we wrap this thing up?
I don't believe so.
Santima's football rules. Okay.
Doyle rules.
Doyle rules. There we go. Cool. Very cool. Y'all, look, listen, Humbl Fam. Listen. Y'all, I had a good time with you this week, and I hope you had a good time with us this week. And if you haven't already, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to do me a real big favor because we're trying to grow the Humbl Fam, right? So I just need you to hit the subscribe button, and I need you to leave me a little comment. Tell me about your favorite celebrity conspiracy theory. Or tell me about your favorite song with hot in the title. I want to hear all about it, and drop a like as well. And just tell your friends. Tell 2 friends. How about that? Tell 2 friends. Listen, we'll be back here, everybody, next week for another visit here on The Humbl Show. But until then, stay humble.
Yeah.